Rebecca, can you just go into a little bit more detail? Obviously, this is a massive undertaking for the district. Kind of go into some specifics, how so?
So we serve about 45,000 kids across the district every day. That's about 40,000 of those are in district-run schools. So we are so grateful to our community partners who have really kind of stepped in to embrace and love our kids and families to make sure that the teacher walkout does not adversely affect families. My first concern was really that we might have kids who were home with no food, because many of our students eat breakfast, lunch, snack, and in some cases supper at school every day, and that we might end up with some young children home alone with no adults supervising them because their parents had to go to work. So we have awesome community partners, and we're so grateful to Jace Kirk, who works for FaithWorks, as well as being a member of our board, who's really helping us to coordinate the faith community's response to make sure that kids are safe and cared for.
Do you know at this point how many days you all can last before adding additional days to the end of the school year?
So our calendar started off with 6 days, 6 more days than we needed built into it. We took 2 in February when we had the ice storm, so we have 4 remaining before we'll have to make up the time.
Rebecca, can you talk about how teachers get paid? Do they continue to get paid depending on where they go in the event of a walkout?
So for those 4 days that we don't have to make up the days, teachers will have the option to use union leave to advocate at the Capitol if they choose to do that. They also could come to work or use personal business leave or unpaid leave to stay home on those days while the schools are closed. After we cross into the 5th day, we have to make up the time. So at that point, it'll be all of our employee salaries are prorated over 24 paychecks over 12 months. So no one will go without their regular pay, except for people who are like temporary and hourly, like substitutes.
So teachers can come to work if they don't want to stay out?
For the 4 days when we don't plan to make it up, teachers will use either leave, union leave or personal leave, or they may have the option to do some work time at school. But to be clear, the schools will be completely closed. Children will not be attending school, and we will not be providing any care for children during the teacher walkout.
Do you have a contingency plan for testing yet?
It's really going to depend on how many days we end up out. I believe the state testing window goes through April 24th, so we'll be able to, assuming that this is short, we'll be able to get the state testing done, and if it goes beyond that point, we'll have to work with the state. I was in a meeting with Superintendent Hoffmeister yesterday where this was discussed, and we're all just having to kind of roll with the punches and play it by ear.
What kind of concerns are parents bringing to you about, while they may support what you're doing, what kind of concerns do they really have? I mean, a lot of people, they can't afford daycare, how are they going to get fed, that kind of thing?
Tim, I think that there are a lot of those immediate concerns because parents do rely on our schools for so much more than just educating their children. But what I hear from parents more and more now is that our state leaders have to act because our kids deserve better than what they have been getting. The state has cut education funding by 28% in the last decade, and it is starving the schools of being able to keep great teachers in the classroom, of having the materials that teachers need in order to educate children, of us being able to hire bus drivers just to get our kids to and from school. And parents are feeling those choices too. And so what I hear from parents more than anything is that they want our state leaders to take action to avoid this from happening because the teachers don't want to walk out. The teachers just want to be paid fairly, and they don't want to have a second job in order to take care of their families or to have to consider moving to Texas. And parents are on the same page with their teachers, and that's what I hear. Are you hearing anything else, Jace?
I think you nailed it. We are, the majority of parents that I'm hearing from as a board member support our teachers in this matter. Of course, there are concerns, as Ms. Kay mentioned, but I feel really proud to be part of this team because from the beginning, since the board discussed this resolution of support for our teachers, the conversation immediately turned to our students and student-focused concerns. And the team, Ms. Kay's team, has put together a very extensive plan, as this is a moving target, depending on the number of days, to take care of our children, nutritional needs, and also to include the faith community in addressing childcare needs.
Can you talk about some specific concerns that parents you talk to are raising? I mean, obviously they must be a little scared.
Sure. Again, I think with the biggest question I continually hear is, well, how many days, right? And that's the question everyone has, including us. How many days? And so I hear from parents, okay, I could probably make this work as far as childcare. That's the number one concern I'm hearing, Tim, is childcare. What I have to work. I'm a single parent, and I'm the only income provider for my family. I have to work. I could probably do this for a few days, but if it goes past that, what do I do with my children? And that's where I'm proud that our faith community and our community partners are stepping up and taking action.
When it comes to childcare, there are a lot of DHS regulations. Are those some hurdles that you're currently trying to work through as you figure out childcare?
So the district is not endorsing any site to answer the childcare need. We're asking those in our list of community partners that have an existing relationship with a community school to reach out to that school. Most of our community partners that do already provide some sort of services, their volunteers are background checked, or their staff. We've heard from the city of Oklahoma City, that from Parks and Recreation, that their recreation facilities are going to be open for summer hours. So we're not maybe we shouldn't say child care, student care options are not, no one's charging for them unless they are a daycare, which would fall under those regulations. The district, from our perspective, is not endorsing that plan or putting out a list. We're asking our community partners, if you have a relationship with the school already, please reach out to your people.
And we're doing our best to connect families to those resources. But again, it's sort of up to the community agencies, Boys and Girls Clubs, the city. Thank you, City of Oklahoma City, for opening recreation centers from, I think it's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day for the duration of a teacher walkout. I have been so impressed with this community. Oklahoma City knows how to take care of kids and families. And it's it makes us feel so much better about the fact that it has come to this. And I think that is the message that I hope that everyone hears, is that teachers don't want to walk out. We hope that the legislature finds a solution before we get to April 2nd. But I don't think that teachers feel like they have another choice. That's what I've heard from them.
What have you heard from teachers regarding last night's Senate debate over SB 133?
All I have heard is what I saw on Facebook last night. And I think that there's a pretty fierce debate over at what point teachers are willing to compromise. And you would really have to ask the organizations that are representing our teachers' voices in this what their position is, because my job in this is to support. Our teachers are leading this effort.
Rebecca, talk again about your commitment to teachers, the district's commitment to teachers. What does that mean, and how long are you willing to close schools?
Right now, we are prepared for school to be closed indefinitely. It will be difficult to make up the time once we cross the 4 days, but we have 2 snow days already at the end of our calendar that we can activate. We've been sort of doing the math on how we could add time to each day to make up some of the time, and then at a certain point, we'll have to adjust the calendar to continue going to school into June. So we may be on a true continuous calendar for next year, and we are prepared to do that because there is nothing more critical right now for us than making sure that we create conditions so that we can retain great teachers in our city and in our state. This district is losing between 20 and 25% of our teachers every year. So that means all of the investment that we're putting into young teachers to help them learn how to manage a classroom, learn how to engage students, learn great pedagogy, that's walking out the door. And it's not fair to principals, it's not fair to children, because our business is about magic happening between teachers and children. So we are prepared to support teachers in whatever it is that they feel like is necessary.
Now, was there a letter that was sent home to parents about a bus providing meals to students during this time?
We sent messages home, or to parents last night, so not home with students. We're on spring break right now. So we sent a robocall and a text message that directed parents to our website. And the way that we plan to deliver meals for the first week of potential walkout would be that our school buses will basically act as rolling feeding sites. So they will pick up meals that are made by our school nutrition staff, take them to designated locations where families, kids will be able to come and get the meals. Then they'll go pick up some more and go to another site. So I believe each bus will be able to cover 3 sites, and they are working on a schedule for how that will work so that we can get the meals into the neighborhoods, because what we know about our summer feeding program, which happens in a few school locations around the district, is that it's hard for people to get there, and we don't have as many kids eating as we would like to see eating, and especially with going community eligibility this year, which means all of our kids eat free breakfast, lunch, and snack every day. It's so critical that we help provide that support for families so that kids are healthy and safe.
How many meals are you talking about you're gonna have to deliver?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think that I know we were talking about 40,000, that they were sort of getting ready for the first day to have 40,000 ready to deliver. But you guys remember, we run the largest restaurant operation in Oklahoma City. People forget that we serve something like 50,000 meals every single day. We serve 1 million cartons of milk every month. So our school nutrition services operation is already a massive undertaking, so it will be a big effort, and that's why we're trying to be so purposeful about planning and communicating early with families so that they're ready.
So are you talking about maybe 2 or 3 meals a day per student, or how does that work?
There'll be 1 delivery, but we have community partners that I believe will be putting extra food on those buses so that if a child came to get a sack lunch, a box lunch, they might also be able to get a package of food from the food bank. So we would be sending kids from the bus with probably, if it's what they need, more than the 1 meal that we're able to serve based on the federal guidelines for meal service.
And we're also hearing from some of our community partners that, like the Boys and Girls Club, that they have summer programs where they already feed children lunch. They have that in place, and so our director of operations is looking at a schedule to maybe deliver breakfast to those sites if they have lunch taken care of. So again, everything's kind of a moving target at this point, but I feel, again, very proud and encouraged by this team that they have literally thought through the what if in every situation and have a contingency plan behind it.
Rebecca, I know you mentioned, or Beth might have mentioned, this is an ongoing plan, ever-changing, fluid. Talk a little bit about what that means and how that could change.
So this situation is emergent. We don't know what's going to happen. I have more questions than answers right now, and a lot will depend on the actions of the state legislature. But what is happening right now, so we pushed out information to families with our best thinking about the answers to lots of questions. I mean, we've gotten questions about what's going to happen to the prom, what's going to happen to graduation, what's going to happen to students with medical needs that are met at their school. So we're trying to answer all those questions the best we can, and families and other community members can submit more questions, and we will do our best to update those frequently asked questions on the website as we get more information. But we're sort of committed to making it work. But we just have to kind of, as I said, roll with the punches and figure it out as we go along.
So would you continue to provide services, maybe medical services or services for special needs students or any of those kinds of services, aside from food?
With students not being in school and teachers not being in school, we will not be able to provide services to students.
Now, how would this affect others who aren't teachers here, like cafeteria workers or custodians, or like you said, bus drivers, because they're also not going to be at work? So, I mean, do they get paid for these days, or how does that work out?
So for the time that they work, so for, like I talked about, the bus drivers being part of the feeding plan, so the bus drivers will be working their regular time on those days. When we shift to the makeup days, the days that we have to make up, they will shift to kind of being in holiday status, and we'll have to adjust the calendar. So, but their pay will continue to be prorated.
What about principals? What's the expectation there? What are they going to be doing? Are they going to be supporting the teachers?
So principals have the option of reporting to the Capitol as their work site if they choose to do that. Some of them, I know, feel very strongly that they need to be with their teachers. You probably saw Greg Frederick's statement from our principals union about supporting their teachers. So I expect that many principals will be standing with their teachers at the Capitol. Other principals will be reporting to work.
And what's the expectation for teachers? Are they expected to be at the Capitol? Is that where you want them to be? I mean, do they need to be out there? Should they be out there? Is that part of how they get paid by is that a union agreement, or?
The teachers are leading this effort, so we've provided them with the options. What we learned from the survey that we did of our staff was that the vast majority of our teachers did plan to use the union leave option to be at the Capitol doing advocacy.
Okay, we have one more question.
What will happen to prom?
I don't know yet. We are fairly certain that all of our major activities that are already kind of planned and paid for, that we'll figure out how to make sure those continue. I told the team, I'm certified. If I can administer AP exams, if it comes to it, we'll make it work. We don't have any choice right now but to pull out all the stops and get creative about how we can make sure our kids are taken care of so that our teachers can advocate for what they deserve.
What about athletes and coaches and sporting events, and how does that get affected?
So we did I know you are breaking her rule. We did a survey, of our coaches, because it's important to me that the teachers lead this effort and that I get input on the decisions that we make. What we learned is that the high school coaches and sponsors really felt like many of their students needed to continue to stay in condition, and they have competitions coming up that probably can't be rescheduled. So we are allowing after-school activities on the normal schedule at the discretion of the teachers at the high school level. The middle school sponsors really felt like the middle school kids would not be able to come to school because they wouldn't be able to get there. So at the high school level only, activities may continue if the teachers want to.
At the high school sites.
And if I can piggyback on Ms. Kay's statement about being certified to administer AP tests, that has been overwhelmingly what I've heard from teachers, from every staff member I've spoken to in this district, is we don't want our kids to suffer during this. We want to do anything we can to make sure they're taken care of. And I believe they feel like they're at a point where they have no other option but to take these drastic measures. But in the same breath, they say, but where can I help? And that is so encouraging to me as not just a board member, but as a parent and as a community member, that our students are at the heart of this discussion. Yeah. So thank you to you and to your entire team.
It's really hard to get to a place where putting students first means that we can't have school. And that is hard to, it's hard to have to respond to a situation like that. But we don't know what else to do.
So you have 4 snow days left. Does state law allow you to add hours on to the end of days when the teachers eventually come back, to add all that up? Are you
So we
allowed to
believe-
accrue hours that way?
The state law allows for either a 180-day calendar or a 1,080-hour calendar.
Okay.
We use the 1,080-hour option in OKCPS, as most districts do in the state. And so we believe, depending on how long this goes, that we would be able to make up to about 5 days by adding up to an hour on the end of the school day, but it will really depend on how many days we are out and then how many days we still have left in the school year, how many we would be able to make up that way without adding days on the end of the year. We know that adding time is difficult for our folks because kids have after-school activities, teachers have second jobs, and the last thing we want to have happen in this is for teachers to, lose significant parts of their income as a result of this effort, but we're going to figure it out.